in everything tech on an ongoing basis around Atlanta and around the country when I'm able to. I've been an investor in technology for about the last 5 years with a few different startups. I've advised some. I'm on the board of a couple, and I enjoy where technology is taking the community and the society. And I want to make sure our community is abreast of what's going on so that we can always stay hopefully in front of um, the good parts of what's happening in technology, make some of the money, and see the success for ourselves. Um, I've also traveled the country for the last 5 years with the Miller Coors Tap the Future program, which was led by Damon John, Mr. Shark Tank himself. So I've been to 5 different cities a year and watched, 5 or 6, 7 entrepreneurs in each city pitch to those people. So I've learned a lot, watched a lot, been able to understand a little bit about that side of the technology space because most people who have technology startups have to pitch somebody. You're pitching investors, VCs, angels, even if you crowdfund, it's really just a big pitch to the world of what it is you're doing that's going to have an impact on our society. Um, One of the other things is as it relates to pitching, I had the pleasure back in August. I'm on the board and I'm an investor in a personal safety app called SafeWord. We went to the national conference of the National Urban League. And so, on my first opportunity to actually pitch myself, the founder and myself won the national competition, which was very exciting. So, again, I'm very excited about all things tech, and I hope you are too. And that's why you're listening into the show. Uh, okay. One of the things I like to start the show with is uh, the newest tech gadgets. Today, I don't have any right now. So, but in the future, probably in about the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'll always have some new gadgets to show off to everybody so that you can see some things coming. I'll always talk about some new apps in the course of the show as well that I think are going to have a big impact, uh, you know, or that are just fun that I think you'll enjoy using that have hit the market. Want to talk a little bit today. I'm going to talk about, I always like to talk about good news in our community and people that are doing big things. So my hats off this week to Kunbi, and I cannot pronounce her last name, so I apologize. I love her. Her and Urban Geeks, which is a great organization, great website, great newsletter. Um, Powerful sister who recently got appointed to the advisory board of the CES show. For those of you familiar with that, everybody should know CES is the largest consumer electronics show in the country every year in Vegas, and she's on the board of advisors for that. She just got received that, so congratulations to her, and congratulations to her for having a great Urban Geeks Tech Talk last week that I attended out at Atlanta Tech Village. Um, it was a great show, great networking. They had 2 different panels. The first panel was founders of color who have raised more than $1 million. Um, it was great to hear from those people how they've done it, what they had to do to get it. And then the second panel were VCs and accredited angel investors and what they look for when they're investing in a company. For those of you who have a company and are trying to receive funding, which is pretty common and one of the most needed things for companies, for startups. So I'm actually give you a few things that I learned there, a few tips that were given. Some I knew, some were great to hear again from other people, but that I took away from the Urban Geeks Tech Talk that I thought were the most important tips that I could share with you guys today. So, from the VCs and the angel investors, one of the things that's important is know who you're pitching. What that means is different investors invest in different types of companies. Some only want the very first startup when you're very first starting a company. Others are looking for more mature companies. Some are only interested in healthcare. Some are only interested in maybe media. Some may only be interested in products. Some may like software as a service. So you really want to do your homework, know who it is you're pitching, because you could be pitching the wrong person and a waste of your time and theirs. Another tip they gave was that you should have a really professional looking deck. You probably shouldn't do it yourself unless you really are a graphic artist. So, of course, this information is important, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what information should be there. But they definitely advised having your deck look really, really good visually, just because it adds to, you only have a short time sometime when you're speaking to people and meeting with them, so that your professionalism comes across as best as possible. Do you have customers? If you do, that's super important. Make sure that stands out in the executive summary, like you already have built a following. And if they're repeat customers, that's the best kind of customer. If you can show that the people who are buying your product are buying it repeatedly, that goes a long way toward knowing that your product is likely to be scalable. And that's, of course, what all investors are looking for: scalable products and sellable projects and companies. Do you have contracts? If you don't have actual customers, currently, let's say if you've got an app, if you've got contracts that have been signed, letters of intention, those kinds of things, those will be very, very helpful as well when you're pitching someone, for them to know it and for that to stand out. Do you know your break-even point, both by revenue as well as by when in your projections, the date that you anticipate your break-even? People want to know how long their investment's going to have to stay in a company. They want to know if you have any assets in your company. Make sure that's up front. You own a building. You own a patent. You own any of the, you've got an exclusive contract with a particular provider. That's a strong asset that you have, and it's very important that you put that up front and in your executive summary, so they can get that first vision of you as a strong organization. Patents, MVP. Do you have a minimum viable product? Do you have something that's already been created, or are you asking them for money to finish creating your idea? That sometimes is a separation of what they will invest in and what they won't. So you really want to, if you do have an MVP, you want to show it, you want to say it. And these are things you need to be saying like in the beginning, not necessarily in deep detail, but if you want to keep the investor's interest, and you've got these boxes checked off, it helps you continue further with them. The other thing is, I guess kind of the two of the very most important things are who's on your team and what have they accomplished previously. Have they actually taken a company from startup and scaled it to a large size ever before? Have they? That's a question that they like to ask. And do you have a rounded out team? Somebody who's strong in marketing, somebody who's good in finance, and obviously a chief technology officer who's creating the technology and managing the technology, that can take it to a scalable level, because all investors want to receive 10 to 30 times their money on the companies that are successful, because they're going to lose on some companies that just won't make it in the market. And the other question, comment that was made that all the investors said was real important is, do you have a board of advisors or a board of directors, and who are they? Because founders can often get off in their own heads without somebody keeping them in check sometime and really giving them a reality check. That gives a lot more confidence to any investor, to know that there are other people who are strong, hopefully, in certain areas, so that your company can stay on a path toward success. So for those who are interested in startups, I suggest you attend events like that. That one was fantastic. There are others. There's many in every city. I don't have a list in front of me, but I know previously I've given out quite a few different newsletters to subscribe to, as well as conferences. For those of you that are in Atlanta, the 2018 Venture Atlanta Conference is next week, October 16th and 17th, at the Southern Exchange at 200 Peachtree. If, depending on where you are in your business and what you're looking for, I have not personally been, but I've heard it's been a great conference. The early entry price was $600. Now it's $800. But I think it could be $800 very well spent if your company is positioned and you're in a place where you're serious about gaining some money and you have your stuff together. If you're ready for big time VC and want to get in front of some, from my understanding, well, I know it is the largest such conference in the Southeast for venture capital. So I would suggest that you make yourself there if by chance your budget doesn't allow it. Don't anybody tell them I said it, but I have it on good authority from a individual that I met that sometimes you can hang in the lobby and actually do some networking that may be of value to you if your budget doesn't allow you to be a registered guest. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, and I know they've changed the venue it's at this year from where it was at last year, but I can honestly say that a person I know who was a registered guest, they were a registered person, but they hung in the lobby and actually had an opportunity to meet Mark Cuban and have a conversation with him before he actually went into the particular panel that he was going into. So, as always, if you're serious about your business, act like it. Go everywhere that you can that might assist you in achieving more. We're about to wrap up this segment in just a second. And so just to give you a heads up what's coming next, we're going to talk about security. We're going to bring Jeremy into the conversation. I don't want him feeling lonely over there. And we're going to talk about security, your personal security, some things that are going on in the world and with your phone and your car that you should know about. And we're going to talk about Jeremy and his story and how he got into tech and is now doing big things and has created his own company from not being in tech to in tech. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, can we?
With customizable streaming TV from Xfinity, watch the most free TV shows, hit movies, and live sports on the go. At home, access Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora right from your TV. And with the X1 voice remote, just say it and see it.
Show me HBCU.
With Black Film and TV, watch your favorite college entertainment, HBCU football games, and much more. Xfinity. Simple, easy, awesome.
30 million people have been diagnosed with diabetes and 75 million with high blood pressure. Let's talk about the importance of cleaning the blood. 50 years of scientific research have shown that garlic, when taken in the right amount, can help to lower blood pressure, sugar level, and cholesterol, all while providing energy. How? Through cleansing, regulating, and replenishing the blood. Garlic alone is powerful, but for over 41 years, we've discovered that by combining garlic, aloe, and parsley together, we help the body to clean the blood even better. You can clean excess sugar.
With customizable streaming TV from Xfinity, watch the most free TV shows, hit movies, and live sports on the go. At home, access Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora right from your TV. And with the X1 voice remote, just say it and see it.
Show me HBCU.
With Black Film and TV, watch your favorite college entertainment, HBCU football games, and much more. Xfinity. Simple, easy, awesome.
What's up, good people? We're back on Tech Tuesdays with my special guest, Jeremy Springer. So, Jeremy, let's get right into it. Okay. You're a brother who's now in tech and has built a company, and a startup. But let's talk about your background and how you got here, your story.
Definitely so. So my background is a little different from the normal story of how individuals going to get into tech. So basically, I was a D1 athlete playing football. NFL dreams did not happen. So came back home, had to enter the real world and look for a job. Got the opportunity to work in mental health. It was a big awakening for myself. I knew that I started realizing how every experience that and every story that I heard came from a negative experience. And I wanted to do something about it because I wanted to try to figure it out. So I said, I'm going to throw myself in a position and only get positive out of it. So therefore, I did my research. I said, tech is real big. It's a high demand right now. So I threw myself into a coding boot camp. And I told my friend to come with me. And I said, we're going to document the whole process so we can teach and show others and encourage others to do the same. And that decision that I made 2 years ago, I would say probably was the best decision that I ever could have made for myself.
Which coding boot camp did you go to?
So the coding boot camp that I went to is no longer existing, but it's called the Iron Yard at that time.
Okay.
And while at that boot camp, we were outliers. We didn't fit in. We were very uncomfortable there. But I knew that being around that surrounding in that environment, I was going to catch on, and that's exactly what started to happen within that boot camp.
Cool. So what programming did you learn? Did they teach there?
So there they taught iOS front end and back end. So I did the route where I was a front end developer, and I'm now working as a front end developer where basically what a front end developer is everything that you see on the front of the screen, the front of Facebook, adding the forms, and so that's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Okay. What other languages are you looking at that you're interested? Now that you've gotten deeper in it, now that you're becoming an expert in what you do in those areas, what other things? Just so people, everybody, sometimes has different aspirations as they get into tech and different parts of tech. What other programming languages are important, and what other aspects are there to the website than what I see?
So the other aspects that you can get involved with, as you say, you can become a full stack developer who knows it all. So basically the back end, knowing the database, what goes within that structure of everything as well. One of the things that I'm going to start looking into getting into now and learning about is cybersecurity.
Okay.
That's going to be very big in the future because, as you know, as we're getting more enlightened about technology, then we have to be able to have some type of policy to be able to stop some of the things that goes on with technology.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. That's a great topic and one that I usually try to bring up during every one of the shows. We've got the new presidential alerts, and they have access to the E911 chip in your phones, which of course gives access to your location, your microphone, your camera, and we're not quite sure what else inside your phone. But that alone, the fact that chip has access to those things, for most people, including me, is a little disconcerting. It's like, how do I really feel about that access to people that I don't know? And, in this case, I'm not that thrilled about the president of all people having that access. And I guess your phone, like every phone supposedly in America, they say it was successful, and 200 million phones received the presidential alert last week.
Oh, yes.
Well, they didn't ask me if they could send that one. He took presidential privilege to use up some of my bandwidth to send me that alert. I'm real curious what our listeners think about that particular thing as well. Now, let me just give a couple other examples that people may not be thinking about as it relates to security. GM did a test, and the people who were a part of the test agreed to it, of course, but they're using Wi-Fi in the cars. More cars have Wi-Fi now. Most new cars are coming Wi-Fi enabled. And I think GM may have been the first company that did it. And that's a great thing. We all want Wi-Fi everywhere we go. But Wi-Fi can actually be used to listen to what you're listening to. So, for example, they can be listening to what you're listening to on the radio. You could be tuned in on an extreme case. You could be tuned into something extremist, and they could be listening to you. Listen to that. My thought always for privacy and so forth is, where's the data going? How is it being used? How are they profiling people? Now, again, the intention of it is for advertising, so that, traditionally people say what ads they heard, or they say what shows they listen to. This would allow the real data to be collected. They don't have to ask you what you listened to, which commercials you heard. And then, of course, because it's inside of a car, they know where you went to. So you heard a commercial that there was a 1-hour sale at some store. Did your car go to that store within that hour? I mean, obviously it's very, and we're in the advertising business. It's very exciting to be able to target advertising and see the results of it. And so any company wants to do that. So the question becomes, who's collecting the data? How long does it stay in their database? What do they do with it later? And can it be breached? Who else knows? And what other conclusions might somebody else take from your actions? Oh, what do people know about you? So I think that's important. I don't know how other people feel. I'd love to have anyone comment on that, about privacy and how they feel. Let us know what they think are the things that are the biggest threats to our privacy and security. Speaking of which, big in security, Facebook breach. I forget, 50 million, 200 million, it doesn't even matter the number. It's like, and of course, generally we don't know the full scope of the breach until later. They'll tell us 50 million people, and then all of a sudden it becomes 150 million people were actually breached, and you never know which data. So then, you have to believe and take people's word of what got breached, how much of it got breached, and even when it got breached. And so, it affects us all because it can affect your credit, your personal identity. And, these people know a lot about you. I hope everybody listening understands that most of what you do online is definitely monitored, recorded, and put into databases about you, both as a group of people, you fit a certain category, as well as down to the individual level. How did you feel about the presidential alert when it came?
To me, it's where time is going. So I, just from being from a tech background now, I understand it a little bit more, like you say, when it comes to the marketing research. Even now, when you go to websites, it has the cookie that you have to click on that's explaining, we are tracking what you're doing on our website now. So this is where it is evolving to. So it's how do we adapt and how can we make adjustments to be able to be safe as well?
Yeah, no, and that's why I think, another point of concern as it relates to privacy is the Internet of Things, as it's called, which is all the devices, every device in your home. Now, if you buy a new home, all the devices in it are internet and Wi-Fi connected. So from your doorbell to your door locks, to your refrigerator, to your washing machine. So now people are going to know how often you wash your clothes. They could know, what you're eating. There's all these things and this information. And, there have been cases of people who have hijacked the electronic door locks on your door through your Wi-Fi, through your home Wi-Fi system that those same locks are connected to, as well as garages and, things that can, get you in trouble. And unfortunately, many of those devices were created without security first. They were really created for the convenience and for sales without a real good layer of security. So especially older devices, they're getting a little better now, but as you said, it's a fast industry that for those people who are just getting into tech and have some programming skills, I'm with you. I would recommend cybersecurity as being one of the fastest growing. I'm sure it will be one of the highest paid, and it's never going away. The city of Atlanta got hacked and was what's the word? Ransomed. They were ransomed. People, we couldn't pay our water bills. For those of you who don't know, outside of Atlanta, you couldn't pay your water bill. You couldn't go on any of the online systems for 2 weeks, maybe. And they didn't give in to the ransomers. I appreciate that, but they spent just as much money anyway, creating a new system and figuring out how to better the systems they had so that it won't happen in the future. But it's no joke.
And that's what's very important about it, because, like you said, the city of Atlanta got hacked with ransom, and a lot of us, we're not prepared for that. If it's your home or your cell phone or these devices that are old, that are not updated to the technical standards now. So how do you prepare for that now.
Well, you know what? We're going to have to bring a security expert on one of these days real soon to maybe talk about that so that our people will know and can know just, we'll maybe have that be the topic of the day. Straight protecting yourself. Just really, how do you protect yourself on an ongoing basis? Passwords, starting with passwords and going forward. Didn't like what? Oh, the presidential alert. Okay, well, that presidential alert was a emergency test, supposedly only to be used in the event of a national emergency. Like if we're being invaded, then that would allow everybody to get information on their phone. Here's what you should do. Or if there's a nuclear, it's kind of too late if there's a nuclear war and there's a nuclear warhead coming your way, but those type of national emergencies was what was given for the reason for those alerts. Between me and you, one of these nights, Mr. Orange in the Oval Office, he gonna probably send a tweet out on that thing. I'm gonna lose my mind when that thing goes off at 3 a.m. because he can't sleep and he mad about something and decides to. I hope they haven't given him that power personally, but that's a whole nother thing. So yeah, that was the purpose of it. It's kind of like it used to be on radio where you'd hear that sound, bing. This is a test of the emergency broadcast network. But since everybody has a mobile device now, this is the new emergency network. And I think in that regard, it's the smart move because everybody's not listening to radio or watching TV, but everybody has a mobile phone in America. So when companies are hacked, do you disconnect yourself from that company? Target got hit. People lost their credit card information. Their identities got stolen. Home Depot, obviously Facebook recently. And there's just been a lot of different companies that have been hacked. Do you disconnect yourself from that company? Do you continue doing business if you're doing business with them? How do you feel about that?
For myself, I continue doing the business with them. It can be a danger, but just once again, at the time period that we're in, that will become a norm for that to happen. So it's having that trust that they're doing their right things for them to have the right policies in place and the right individuals and software engineers, cybersecurity to be able to retrieve our information back once it gets taken in that way.
Well, and I guess like you say, it's a matter of trust. Some companies tend to be more consumer-based, more concerned with their customers. Other companies give it a little bit of lip service. And, I just wonder in the back rooms where the decisions are being made to allocate resources, are those resources really going to the protection of the customer or just to market to the customer to make more sales? And everybody in business is in business to make sales. So I'm not against that, obviously. But at what price and what risk to the people who are actually the customers, who are trying to use the business. So again, those of you who do have startups, I think you need to think about how you build security into any app that you're creating, because you don't want to be the one who gets hacked, especially as a startup, because one big tumble can, knock you out and completely knock you down and end your dream. I would suggest those who don't know and aren't using the blockchain that it is a much more secure backbone to use. For those of you who don't know and aren't familiar with blockchain, I would give a simple example as I can give of what it is the day something is created digitally. So again, people know about Bitcoin. It happens to be built on blockchain, but it has nothing to do with money. The blockchain simply is a method of following a transaction. So in the case of, let's say, a coin, a Bitcoin, any digital currency, the day that coin is created, coin number 7261, it's recorded by a wide network of computers, none of which are controlled by one single person. So it's distributed computing, and distributed controls such that if any one of those computers get hacked, it actually won't affect that currency. So when I take that piece of currency, hand it to Jeremey, he uses it and hands it to Barbara. Barbara uses it. Each time that it's moved, again, digitally, the entire trail is watched by a multitude of computers. So what happens is once it's been that dollar, that one crypto coin has been transferred, let's say 100 times, and I'm number 101, or Jeremey is, and I'm passing it to him as number 101 in the chain, all those transactions have been recorded by all those computers. So if I give it to him, the transaction isn't complete until all those computers say, yep, that's that coin that it's supposed to be. It came to Randy the way it was supposed to. He didn't create it yesterday and now trying to pass it off to Jeremey as real. It would not allow it. The system would not allow it, because even if one of those computers got hacked and was somehow tricked into saying, yeah, that's real, but it wasn't, the other 999 would all say, that's not a real coin. That coin doesn't have that history. That history is fake. And so if I brought in a fraud and tried to give it to him, it wouldn't happen. Only real transactions that are monitored by lots of different computers can get through on blockchain. So what that means is, from an information standpoint, you'll actually have, let's say your medical history should be on the blockchain. Why? Because, and it's encrypted, by the way, each of those computers and all the transaction, in addition to being distributed, is encrypted. And so it's not unencrypted unless they all agree and allow that information to go to the next step. So like your medical information, insurance information, financial information, all these things can be kept that way, and it's much more secure, much more private to you than the way your data is currently being kept. So, I think at our RIDE conference, had the Rolling Out Innovation and Digital Entertainment Conference a week ago, and I met a lady there, a very intelligent sister, and her comment was, everything that happened to the internet in the last 25 years from now, that's the impact that the blockchain technology will have on how we live our life. It will be as big of an impact. And we all know what impact and how our lives are nothing like they used to be 25 years ago before everything was on the internet. She sees it as that big of an impact in the next 20, 25 years.
And that's why I say it's very important to learn some type of technology. So while people are doing blockchain, think about the individuals that have to program these things, the money that's going to be coming in from that. So definitely so.
And we're going to run the break. I see we're running behind, so we'll see you back in just a few minutes.
Savannah D. Collins, your spiritual leader and life and relationship coach. And I'm so excited because I have an awesome show that's just for you right here on Rolling Out Live. Yes, that's it, Rolling Out Live, every Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. You were going to get insight, because when Dee speaks, you think. We're going to have real talk about life and relationships, because we got real problems, we got some real issues, but guess what? When Dee speaks, you think you're going to come up with a real solution about your life and relationships. So I want you to join me. Don't forget, every Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Rolling Out Live. And I have a special segment just for you. It's called Dear D. That means you can ask your questions. You can get insight about your life with specificity. So I want you to join me, because it's going to be live. And follow me on Facebook at Dunamis D. And you can also hit me up or follow me on Instagram at D Speaks You Think. See you soon.
With customizable streaming TV from Xfinity, watch the most free TV shows, hit movies, and live sports on the go. At home, access Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora right from your TV. And with the X1 voice remote, just say it and see it.
Show me HBCU.
With Black Film and TV, watch your favorite college entertainment, HBCU football games, and much more. Xfinity. Simple, easy, awesome.
Welcome back. We're here today with myself, Randy Fling, on Tech Tuesdays, and my special guest, Jeremey Springer. And hope you're enjoying the show so far. We're here in our final segment of the show. And I want to talk a little bit about some current things that are happening. These are pretty much all here in Atlanta, well, some of them that are coming up. I mentioned Venture Atlanta, October 16th and 17th. So mark your calendars for that. Atlanta Corporate Innovation Summit, October 18th. Built Tech Week from October 22nd to 24th. On Wednesday, October 24th, we've got BizNow's CRE and Urban Tech Summit. And I'm not quite sure of the location on that one, but we may be able to find that out before the show is over and tell you exactly where that's at. And then there's DreamHack, November 16th to 17th, which is in, I believe DreamHack is in California, in Silicon Valley, not here in Atlanta. But my producer is going to find that out for me by the end of the show so I can share that with you exactly where these are located, DreamHack and the Urban Tech Summit. Some of today's trending topics we've got here in Atlanta. Our transportation is about to get new. We're going to get pod. What is pod? Well, a lot of people, we know we've got bad traffic in a lot of areas, and now they're about to test they've proposed a $1.4 billion project at a town hall meeting recently, a company called TransitX, and they want to have us traveling around in pods. So these will be elevated pods that up to 5 people can fit in, that you'll travel over traffic to get where you're going. So I don't know. This is a huge project, and that might be what's coming. I mean, I don't think cars are quite ready to fly, because I don't think people aren't quite sure how to control drones. I don't think yet, but I guess along a track that's already there, it's kind of like a double-deck parking lot. You get us another deck. People share the ride. I think that's the other important aspect of that particular project plan is it brings people back to ride sharing. We were blessed to have a traffic engineer here a few weeks ago. And, one of the things we talk about is how bad traffic is and what a nightmare and not just confusion, but frustration that traffic causes all of us in major cities around the country. And so, people are spending money and doing projects and plans to try to find ways to improve it. The scooters, the bird scooters. I'm sure you've seen them around Atlanta. Yeah.
and you can just pick them up. They just put them down where you pick them up now.
Yeah. Have you used them?
I haven't used them.
Okay.
I haven't used one just yet, but I have seen them being used before.
Being used constantly. I wish I was an early investor in that one. I unfortunately can't get them all, but I sure wish I had been in on that one, because the usage, and here in Atlanta, they're actually coming out with some heavier dutier ones. It's like phase 2, and they've only been here a short time. So wow. I know they're making money. I know their business model has to be moving exactly in the direction they wanted it to, because they're already upgrading the scooters here in Atlanta. And my guess in other markets where they're seeing success as well, I would think. Transportation, again, this is a 19-foot high track, SUV-sized pods that will run along those tracks over traffic. And again, people will share them. So instead of one person like in a car, which is one of the biggest problems with traffic, one person per car. In most major cities during commuting, if we were carpooling more and there were 3 people, 4 people, of course, in California, they've been doing it for a generation. But most other cities here in the East and in the South, for sure, in Atlanta, have not. So, it was kind of new to us, HOV. And out there in California, if you're going across into San Francisco during rush hour, you got to have 3 people in the car. Here in Georgia, it's 2 considered HOV. Out there, you got to have 3 people. And, people really do carpool, and they've put in the work to have solutions for that. Well, Delta Airlines is teaming up with a Singapore startup to help make your pet travel safer. CarePod is the company, and they use a cloud-based software to track your pet, kind of like they track your luggage, so that you at any time can go on the app, see where your pet is at, just to help track better. I think one of the areas that technology is helping us a lot in is tracking. You know, they've gotten devices now, RFID devices that can track a product from where it's manufactured all the way to the truck it's on, to the train, then the truck again as need be, all the way to delivery and when it's sold out the store. You know, all on one system in the cloud, Wi-Fi based, through tracking systems. I mean, that's a huge part of why people like Amazon can deliver in a day. I mean, right on down to now the drone comes and picks it up and delivers it to you. Yep. This is how, you know, probably one of the biggest impacts we don't think about as consumers, but on the backside, logistics, tracking merchandise so you don't lose and get stolen as much, has been one of the biggest lifts I think technology has provided to society over the last 15 years. But we don't think about it, you know, on a daily basis.
I mean, that is definitely true. One thing you say that we don't think about it. So I want to just ask you a question that said, how do we get more involved into when it comes to learning about tech? Because what I've noticed that individuals, as within myself, as people, we fear, I feel like we fear the learning of more about tech. So what ways can we engage to get more involved?
A great question. And one of the things I'll mention is Erica Moore was my guest a couple weeks ago. She is with the Technology Association of Georgia, commonly called TAG, and she's with the Education Division. She's the director of it, as a matter of fact. They actually have programs that go into predominantly underserved and lower economic areas, communities of color, and encourage our young people that are in high school. They actually partner with a lot of companies that they allow them to come intern, see technology, see a lot more about how it works and what kind of jobs they are and what the lifestyle is about and what the behind the scenes is like that's really making their phones able to do what phones are able to do today. So I think that's a great program. I think they are involved, you know, again, their predominance of that department is toward high schoolers, so that when they come out, they can have better knowledge and ideas of what schools they may want to go to, what kind of boot camps they might want to go to, if that's the direction they want to go. But I think for people who are already, let's say, past that age and in college, obviously, there's a lot of opportunities. And I think in technology, the other resounding thing that I've heard at our conference a week ago at RIDE, don't think of just technology. The people who do the legal work for technology companies affect what they allow the technology people to do sometimes. And the conversations that they're having with their technology people are real important as it relates to privacy, security. The people in the accounting industry, people who are doing the marketing for these apps, are they being marketed, you know, in somewhat a fraudulent way? Are they exaggerating the claims? And here you are buying an app that doesn't perform well. And likewise, as it relates to corporations buying things from people, are they buying things and getting pitches that really aren't real to what the product can do, with realistic timelines for them? I think, you know, so throughout the whole technology ecosystem, there are places for people who aren't going to be programmers. I think programmers obviously is a great place to be within the ecosystem. I think people who are more interested in whether it's PR, whether it's accounting, whether it's, you know, if it's creating digital entertainment. I mean, that's in the tech space. Entertainment is being distributed digitally. You know, illegal copyrights is a big part of that. How you protect your copyrights, how you protect your music. All these things are technology, but there are other people than just the technologist involved. So I think our community needs to see that. We need to know that we're underrepresented at every single one of the Silicon Valley companies that we can all name. Facebook, Salesforce, Instagram, Twitter, Hewlett Packard, you name it, obviously Apple, you name it, we're underrepresented there. So again, there's a lot of places within those companies we should be represented.
And one thing that I did hear you say, for those individuals who have probably finished high school as well as college. The route that I took was the boot camp way. And one thing that you're realizing, like, I'm confident to say that I did not graduate college with a computer science degree. And what I found out was you don't need a computer science degree to be able to become a programmer. Just like IBM, Google, Apple has just said themselves that we are no longer. You do not have to have a college degree. We're no longer looking for that. So what does that say? Times are changing. And
That's good. That's great information for people just to be aware of. I wish I could name some of the boot camps. Erica did name some programs out here when she was on the show a couple weeks ago. So if you go to the page, which is rollingout.com/Tech Tuesdays, you'll see the previous show. If you look for the show that my guest was Erica Moore from TAG, she mentioned a number of programs, particularly in Georgia, and wherever you are, there are going to be similar programs. So you've got to look, but they are out here.
definitely. So I had the opportunity as well to go to the conference, which was amazing. I would want to say everyone to go to that. It was Rodney Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
He spoke on why it's very important to understand that we need to learn some type of tech background, because one thing that caught my attention is when he said you want Amazon to come down here, but you don't realize that their jobs that they're going to be opening for is tech jobs, which is going to which a lot of individuals are not going to be able to apply for those jobs, and it's going to up the cost of living. And how do we come and fit in when that transition happens? How can we be there to be able to gain opportunity? Is what
yeah, because even if Amazon, what do they call it, HQ2, which is the big headquarters that every city in America put their bid in for all those jobs. Amazon actually has other large facilities coming to a lot of cities, including Atlanta. Even if we don't get that one, there are other facilities, and Facebook has brought a large facility here as well. So you want to be as fully engaged in the space. There are great opportunities. I would say that, and again, he mentioned the RIDE conference. So I know this is self-promotion, but the Rolling Out Innovation and Digital Entertainment Conference, this was our second year. And I have to say that I learned a lot, and I suggest to everybody, please think about us next year. We're in the room with a sister who's got a $17 million fund looking for women of color to back and support with their startup ventures and their ventures and help them to be successful. I did say 17 million. And that she's looking for women of color who have the right kind of vision, product, and scalability for their fund. She was a very successful investment banker on Wall Street with Morgan Stanley, and left her job because this was her vision, because she wants to help our community with that. So, again, not just RIDE conference, but you have to be in these places to actually meet these people, hear from them, and see and learn what's going on. So it's an investment in yourself of spending your time and money. Again, the Urban Geeks event I was at last week, there were investment bankers there. And what I loved about their program that is identical to what we always do at RIDE is our speakers are not heading out the back door. They stay there and talk to the participants. So if you have additional questions that weren't answered, if you're trying to get that phone number, that email so that you can follow up, again, these people are willing, they're engaged, they are people who are truly and significantly engaged in our community and have our community's best interests at heart. But you have to be there to take advantage of it. You got to be in the game to win the game. All right, Urban Tech is October 24th. I had the date, and it's where? It's at the Woodruff Arts Center, right in Midtown Atlanta. Don't know if there's a cost or not, but please just look it up. I'm sure all the information will be there. And DreamHack is, I know the dates. All right. Well, we'll get that to you before we... In Atlanta. So DreamHack is also in Atlanta. And next show we'll have many more events listed for you that are not in Atlanta as well. We're based here, so of course we're a lot more aware of our events. Hope some of you might be out at Black Enterprises Tech Connect, which was yesterday and today at the San Francisco airport. I went last year, wasn't able to attend this year, but they certainly had a nice lineup of people that are engaged in helping our community gain ground in the technology space, that are able to share information and experience and pathways for your business or for your career if you're trying to be in the tech space. So on that, any parting words of advice from you, Jeremy?
My advice was to please look into tech, and just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for being here and sharing the stage with me today as we talk to our viewers. We thank you all for listening in. Next week, same time, same place, 1 o'clock, Tech Tuesdays. We're going to have some additional events going on for everybody around the country, not just Atlanta. And until then, stay secure, have fun, and have a great week. Bam. That looked like end. That looked like we just ended. Good deal.
It's very good. So yeah, that was great. That's why I say it's very important to start learning some type of tech. The opportunities are amazing.
Oh. Yes, it's back somewhere. Let me see right there.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. Cool. Yeah, man.
Thank you guys.
Hopefully
Definitely.
some of your fans will be like, woo woo, they saw you.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Good. And it'll stay up on the site, so it'll be on the site forever.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to email it to you? I can email it to you as well.
You can shoot me an email too.
Okay.
That works.
What we really need to do is a short piece that we put on IG stories and stuff. Thank you, executive producer of my show.
Right.